is their answer for the economy? Tax cuts for the wealthy. Get rid of regulation, get out of the way of corporations. Repeal or totally disable Dodd-Frank. That's their economic policy. It doesn't matter how often it has been proven not to work. Trickle-down economics is a relic of the 1980s, like New Coke and shoulder pads and big hair, and we're not going back to those days.
Well, she was the immovable object, the dead-set certainty, the absolute cannot miss as the Democratic presidential candidate in 2016. All that may still be true because who has more money and leverage than Hillary Clinton? But the American voter has to pay close attention to not only her shaky poll numbers, but the reality of not one but two government agencies stonewalling on investigations into her past, her character, her ability to come clean and tell the truth. This isn't so much about emails and servers as it is about the Clinton influence, and why others appear to be so hard-lined on playing her patsy. So let's get to work. We're joined by the former federal prosecutor and author of Licensed to Lie, Exposing Corruption in the Department of Justice, Sidney Powell. Sidney, thank you so much for being here. And when I caught the word and looked at the news from Richard Leon, the U.S. District Court judge, who basically is hammering away, asking, why can't you people at the State Department just give us what we want? You've got subpoenas in your hand, and all you're doing is stonewalling. Is this just business as usual, Sidney, or is somebody covering up?
Oh, I think there's definitely a cover-up, Ed, and Judge Leon is going to be an excellent person to get to the bottom of it. He was actually counsel to Congress for the Whitewater investigation and also the Iran-Contra investigation. So he knows exactly how to go about getting evidence and finding out what's at the bottom of this obviously illicit and obstruction of justice.
What is it that would, and again, I know this is just opinion on your part, but what is it that would leave the State Department to think that they could be subpoenaed, they could be told, and they simply would not give the judge the materials that they want? What makes them think they can get away with this?
Well, they've managed to get away with it so far, but thank God our founders created 3 branches of government, one of which is our Article III judiciary that has the power like Judge John Sirica did and like Judge Sullivan in my book Licensed to Lie did, and that's take the government to task and make them produce these things.
Is this all just...
These judges are fed up with it.
Is this all just day-to-day business, though, Sidney, when we talk about that license to lie, that at this point you have a State Department sitting there? It is so ingrained that they will cover up for their own and they will break the law and they will spit in the face of the United States government any and every chance they can get.
That's definitely what they've been doing, Ed, but I think it's going to come to a halt sometime soon. Between Judge Sullivan and Judge Leon, Judge Sullivan's got the IRS case. I'd also note that he has reopened the Freedom of Information Act suit against Huma Abedin, Hillary's top aide. So I imagine she's going to have to be producing her emails soon, too. She's refused to so far. But there's a lot more to come out there, and between Judge Sullivan and Judge Leon, I think they will be getting after it.
Sidney, I got about a minute left here. We are told a lot about the Clinton power and the Clinton influence. We've heard about this for decades. Is it just possible that this is another case where that power and influence has come to bear? The people at the State Department, other places, simply don't want to challenge them because they're afraid.
It is shocking how many people are afraid of them and of our current government in general. That is absolutely appalling to me because we are supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. So these brave judges, we're going to have to rely on them to get to the bottom of it. And I think we've got 2 who can do that.
How angry does it make you, I guess, when you see sometimes the smugness of Mrs. Clinton and others? Because, quite frankly, when you look at them, they believe we're untouchable. You can't get to me.
It makes me absolutely livid, Ed. No one is above the law, and certainly people who purport to and hold themselves out as leaders of this country should not be above the law. There's an old line from the movie Billy Jack, if the sheriff doesn't follow the law, there is no law. So we have got to have leaders who are held accountable and absolutely must follow the law.
And at this point, it's Mrs. Clinton who needs to be held accountable. Licensed to Lie, Exposing Corruption in the Department of Justice. That is your book. Sidney Powell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ed. It was my honor.